And my father, bless his heart, used to hate that translation. He said, oh, when I get to heaven, I want a mansion. In my Father's house are many mansions. And I believe that there will be mansions, but the image that Jesus is using is of a house where there's room for you to come into the Father's house, to be there. And that room is provided at the cross. It's provided at the cross where Jesus takes the sins of the world. Whose sins? My sins. What? The worst of them? Yes, even the worst of them. And pays the price so that we can enjoy the fellowship with God forever. The place is prepared. If I go, I will come again and take you to myself. And then Jesus says something the disciples have trouble with. And you know where I am going. Well, they didn't, in fact. Jesus had told them often enough that the road he was on led to the cross. The road he was on had an ending of the rejection. He came to his own, and his own did not accept him. He showed it by his baptism, the baptism of sinners that Jesus underwent, telling us that he would undergo the death of sinners at the end of his ministry. And he goes from baptism to the wilderness to be tempted, with Satan saying, you don't need the cross. Bow down and worship me now, and I'll give you everything. No, the way is the way of the cross. Let not your hearts be troubled. Don't panic. Stay calm. Well, how can we? How can we? Everything is ending. Everything is coming unglued. So Jesus gives another reason. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The reason we are not to panic is Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Do you know how to get to heaven? Are you good enough? Are you faithful enough? Are you righteous enough? If you know Jesus, if you let him hold you by your hand and take you, then the answer is yes. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Not me. Not me. Not you. Not anyone. But Jesus, who overcomes Satan and sin and the world. I am the way, the truth, and the life. There's an interesting verse in the next chapter of John, and I have to turn to this because as I was preparing my sermon, I've been reading John in my devotionals this week. And in my mind, I fused John 14 and 15 together, and I picked this verse out. And as I came into Sabbath school this morning, I sat there and read through John 15 and John 14 at least, looking for this verse because I knew it was there in John 14, and it's not. It's in John 15. I read it the next day. John 15 and verse 3. Jesus says, already you are clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Already you are clean. When's he talking? He's talking on the night of his arrest. He's talking on the night when all the disciples will fall asleep instead of praying. He's talking on the night when Peter will deny him with swearing. He's talking on the night when every human strength will fail him. Already you are clean because they know Jesus. And so when things go wrong for us, when things appear to be a mess, when things look as though it's just not working out, don't look to yourself. Look to Jesus. Look to Jesus. How do we know we can rely on Jesus? Well, Jesus talks precisely about that in the verses that follow. In chapter 14, verse 9, Jesus said to him, this is Philip, "Have I been with you so long and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me?" And Jesus is saying, I've got the closest possible, the closest imaginable relationship with the Father. Who's the Father? The Father is the one who kept Noah safe in the flood. The Father is the one who brought Israel through the Red Sea. The Father is the one who was with the Israelites as they marched around the walled city of Jericho. The one who was with David when he addresses Goliath. You come with swords and armor, I come in the name of God. Father, the God of the Old Testament. See? And so when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, don't panic. You're clean already. He's speaking with the authority of God. And that we can rely on. That we can rely on. That's a promise that will never let us down. Again, I was interested in Sabbath school. The three worthies in the fiery furnace. Then there is a fourth one. Remember the comment that was made? He doesn't take them out of the furnace. He comes and joins them in the furnace. Isn't that what God did in the incarnation? Isn't that what Jesus in his earthly ministry represents? That God has come into our furnace, the realm of Satan, the realm of death, and has experienced what we experience in temptation and in trial and in burden and in frustrated hopes and ambitions. I don't mean ambitions in the wrong sense of the word. God, that Jesus was disappointed on occasions. Disappointed when the rich young ruler went away sorrowing. The price was too high. The price was too high. And so Jesus knows. He knows what it's like to cry. The Father knows what it's like to lose a son. He knows our experience. Do not let your hearts be troubled. It hasn't fallen out of God's hands. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. It's the authority of God that promises this. Well, that might be enough, but Jesus isn't finished. He isn't finished. Verse 15, chapter 14, verse 15. If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another comforter, to be with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it does not see him or know him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. And verse 18, I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. I will come to you. You see, when we go through the furnace of this life, when we find things unraveling around us, when we don't know what's happened to our hopes and dreams, they're so shattered. Where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? Way up there? Impersonal? Detached? Looking on like a scientist peering into a petri dish? No. No. I will come to you, he says. When I send the Spirit, I will come to you. I will be with you forever. Or when the worst things happen, where is Jesus? With you. With you. I will send you another helper, the Holy Spirit. You know, it's interesting, isn't it? We gather our friends around us in times of trial. I was, yes, it's a dangerous time to be a friend of mine. So many of them are dying at the moment. I was at a funeral this week. The same day that I learnt my minister friend had died, I was at a funeral, a memorial service. And here was the widow. She had gathered friends around her. It was a very low-key affair. It's when you want your friends, you want people to be there with you so that they can let you know that you feel for their pain. But God does one better. The Spirit comes and dwells in us. He dwells in us.